You know, the hardest part about building a massive, like 12-screen video wall isn't the resolution. It's actually tricking the human brain into ignoring the fact that it's looking at 12 separate TVs.
Yeah, that is the real trick, isn't it?
It really is. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We have a product page from HDTV Supply for this really heavy-duty piece of commercial AV tech. It's the WolfPack Seamless 4K 60 Hz 4x12 video wall controller.
That is a mouthful of a name, but it is a beast of a machine.
It totally is. And our mission today is to basically decode the invisible tech that powers those massive multi-screen displays you see in, control rooms or sports bars. Okay,
Okay.
let's unpack this.
Well, when you look under the hood of this WolfPack controller, it's managing 4 HDMI inputs and 12 HDMI outputs.
Yeah.
And that is at pure 4K resolution at 60 hertz.
Right, which is just a ton of data.
Exactly. To handle that, it needs a massive 18 gigabits per second bandwidth.
So it's basically like an ultra-efficient traffic cop, right? Directing 4 massive highways of high-def data into 12 distinct neighborhoods without, like, a single dropped frame.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the mechanism preventing that drop. Because usually,
Yeah.
standard switching is like a relay race. A runner stops, puts the baton down, and then the next runner picks it up.
Right, and that little pause is your agonizing black screen.
Exactly. But this controller acts as a buffer. It holds the video frames in its internal memory, keeping that timing signal perfectly alive between the source and the display.
Oh, I get it. So it essentially holds both batons simultaneously.
Yeah, exactly. So the handoff is completely invisible to the audience. That is the seamless switching.
Okay, that buffering explains the data side. But manipulating the physical screens is where I get kind of tripped up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this 4-window multiviewer capability and then this 180-degree rotation feature. Here's where it gets really interesting. But wait, why would anyone actually need to rotate their video 180 degrees, like intentionally mounting screens upside down?
I know, it sounds crazy, but it really comes down to the physical constraints of the room. Installers are often fighting against, weird architectural quirks.
Right.
Or they're hiding thick bundles of cables. Or just trying to minimize heat buildup. Flipping a row of monitors upside down might be the literal only way to make the hardware physically fit the space.
Oh, I see. And then the controller just digitally flips the image back so the viewer never notices?
You got it.
Okay, so you flip a screen upside down to fit the space, but now you have a new physical problem, right? Those thick borders around the monitors are going to chop up the image into this ugly grid.
Yeah, which brings us to bezel compensation. It's essentially an optical illusion,
Wait, really?
Right.
An illusion?
Yeah. Instead of just stretching the image across the monitors, which misaligns the geometry, the controller slightly adjusts and crops the image behind the physical frames.
Oh, wow. So it mimics looking through a paned window? That basically forces your brain to stitch the image together and perceive one uninterrupted display.
Exactly. It plays a trick on your eyes.
It's crazy how much of this is just high-tech psychological manipulation. But to actually run this illusion, the controller has multiple control methods, right?
Yeah, you aren't just using an IR remote like a living room TV.
Yeah.
In a commercial setup, you're using RS-232 to hardwire it directly into a building's central automation system.
Or like a web GUI, so an IT tech can fix a sports bar's screens from their laptop at home, which is wild. But it brings me to a question for you. What stands out to you when buying highly technical gear?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, no matter how advanced a 12-screen matrix controller is, it still has to interface with a human operator.
Right, the real-world friction.
Yeah, you can have an 18 gigabit bandwidth and perfect frame buffering, but the real-world friction happens before the device is even turned on. It hinges on the buying process.
Totally. Like looking at the actual user reviews on HDTV Supply's site brings it right back down to earth. We have Bruna, who is just, really appreciative of the phone support she received.
Yeah, that human touch is huge.
And then there's Doug, who got entirely tripped up during checkout simply because the page asked him to choose between card and credit card.
Right. It just shows that the most advanced hardware on the market still relies on basic, accessible customer service and clear website design. The human element really remains the ultimate bottleneck.
So true. So what does this all mean for you listening? These flawless digital windows we stare at are woven together by heavy-duty hardware acting as an invisible buffer, just managing the chaos so we only see the magic.
And, it raises an important question about the future. We've mastered stitching 12 physical screens into one flawless digital window today.
Right. But as spatial computing and augmented reality take over, will massive hardware video walls even exist in 10 years?
Hmm.
Or will a controller simply beam these 12 video feeds directly into our visual cortex?
That is the real question.
It is. Next time you find yourself staring at a giant wall of screens, ask yourself how long that physical wall will even be there.